She's spilling the tea.
This is The Rumor Report with Angela Yee on The Breakfast Club.
All right, well, Taraji was on The Breakfast Club, and of course, she was talking about her foundation and mental health. But the one takeaway that a lot of people got from it is that she is now single. She's no longer engaged. Listen to what she had to say.
And I'm dedicated to the black man, y'all. I just turned 50, and I haven't said it yet, but it didn't work out. You know what I mean? And I tried. I was like, therapy, let's do the therapy thing. But if you're both not on the same page with that, then you feel like you're taking it on yourself. And that's not a fair position for anybody to play in a relationship. My happiness is not his responsibility, and his happiness is not mine. We have to first learn how to make ourselves happy.
Yeah, first of all, that conversation filled my spirit, man. Salute to Taraji P. Henson and, you know, Tracy and Jay for pulling up their mental health warriors. And I know people took that part of the convo, but you really need to go listen to what they had to say about trauma bonding and being trauma buddies. You know, we have to heal together and share love, not trauma.
Right. So people did take that. I mean, there was a lot of speculation because she did have an amazing 50th birthday celebration, some great pictures, and they were like, where's her fiance? So I guess that was the first time that she said that it's not happening anymore. But I'm sure she's going to be good regardless. All right. Now let's talk about...
By the way, I had young boys hitting my line yesterday.
Trying to highlight her?
Literally like, yo, Taraji single now? Like young boys. Like, am I too young for Taraji? I'm like, I don't know.
All right, now let's talk about Netflix and the third season of My Next Guest Needs No Introduction with David Letterman. So there's a series of interviews that's going to be happening. Kim Kardashian, Robert Downey Jr., Lizzo, Dave Chappelle. Now they already have put out a clip of Dave Chappelle, and here is what they talked about the Black Lives Matter movement.
Being somebody that people would look to for like moral or intellectual guidance. It would require me to live a completely different way. There's no pension plan for leaders. Martin Luther King died penniless. Malcolm X died penniless. I don't want to do that.
But that's your view. I'm waiting for you to say something. So what does that make me, a follower?
Okay, well, I said it behind what many others were already doing. And the commentary after it was very heady and intellectual, and I was shocked that nobody ever talked about what it feels like to watch a man get murdered that way by a man in a police uniform.
Dave's absolutely right. I mean, that's why you got to celebrate the Tamika Mallory's of the world and the Linda Sarsours and the Mysons, all those activists who put their lives on the line every day and fight for us, because it is a thankless job that they're not getting paid for.
And literally put their lives on the line. When I'm talking about death threats, not letting people know where you're staying, how you're traveling, because people literally want to kill you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to answer David Letterman's question about what does that make him for waiting to see what Dave Chappelle has to say, Dave, it makes you a comedian who loves listening to another comedian who happens to be one of the greatest comedians of all time. I like hearing what Dave Chappelle got to say, too.
Well, season 3 will be out tomorrow on Netflix exclusively. All right, Kendrick Lamar, you know, he's been relatively quiet, and he recently did an interview for ID Magazine where he's actually interviewing his cousin, Baby Keem. And they talk about the road it took for Baby Keem to get his career started and how he got Kendrick Lamar's respect, how it was a bumpy road, and how Kendrick was saying that, you know, at first Baby Keem was missing all types of days from school. They were getting letters sent to the house. And he said, I felt some type of accountability. You were talented, but you had to graduate. So it was finding that middle ground. But that worked out. He said, I think that's one thing that me and Dave Free really respect about you. You're determined and driven. You remind me of how we used to be. So Baby Keem is signed to Kendrick and Dave Free's company. And so that's how his album will be coming out. Now, Kendrick also talked about how he'll never make a Good Kid, Mad City Part 2 and how he plans to have a new sound. He said, I can't do the same thing over and over. I need something to get me excited. He said he felt pressure to execute his sophomore album. Well, and he said, I remember the sophomore jinx of Good Kid, Mad City. It was for that year and for that time. I was in a different space in my life. I already knew off the top, I can't make Good Kid, Mad City Part 2. The second I'm making that, it's corny. That takes the feeling away from the first. I need that MF to live in its own world. Then boom, to Pimp a Butterfly. Some people love it to death. Some people hate it.
It's my favorite Kendrick Lamar album, The Pimp a Butterfly. I love The Pimp a Butterfly. And I can't wait to
They
hear.
are two totally different projects, too.
They
Like,
absolutely.
I think,
They absolutely are.
I feel like you can't even compare them, you know?
I don't think you can as well.
If you listen to Kendrick the Pimp a Butterfly now, it actually fits the climate we're in now.
It does.
Maybe more than it did back then, but I can't wait to hear Kendrick's new music. And I think Baby Keem is dope as hell. Lil Dicky put me on to Baby Keem, and I remember the first time I heard Baby Keem, I said he sounds like if Kendrick did trap music. And then folks told me that was Kendrick's cousin, so it makes sense. But I'm absolutely anticipating new music from K-Dot. I can't wait to hear how he's observed the last few years.
Jada Pinkett Smith's mother, Adrienne Banfield Norris, talks about gray areas of intimacy in her own life. Now, they were talking about sexual intimacy and having non-consensual sex, and here's what happened.
So, Gam, you feel like nowhere in your history in regards to sexual intimacy have you felt like you've had a sexual experience that was not necessarily consensual or was, you know, kind of in that gray area? Or...
I have.
Okay.
But it was also with my husband, your
Okay.
dad, actually. So that's really gray. That's
But
really
you do hear that a lot. So you're basically saying you had non-consensual sex with my father.
Wow.
I need the context of that conversation. What was the topic of discussion on Red Table Talk?
They were talking about gray areas and spousal rape. You know, it's a very gray area socially and legally. They said most states now have laws against it, but they do treat it differently than other rape cases. And, you know, Donald Trump was accused of spousal rape by his first wife, Ivana Trump, during their divorce proceedings. And when that accusation came out during his first presidential campaign, again, it resurfaced. That's when Donald Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, said, by the very definition, you can't rape your spouse. And that was a really controversial remark. Because if somebody tells you no, whether or not you're married, that does not mean just you're anybody's property and you can just take anything.
Absolutely.
I did not know that about Donald Trump, and I am amazed how everything comes back to Donald Trump. How does everything come back to Donald Trump?
All right.
Well, I think that was a big deal when it happened for his then lawyer to say that you can't rape your spouse. That's the most ridiculous thing. There's people that are married that are not getting along, that don't even like each other, you know, and just because that's my spouse doesn't mean that I'm obligated to have sex with you.
All right.
All right. Well, that is your rumor report.